This is Chiming In. So you knew then you're in big trouble.
Yeah. I thought, oh God, maybe it's just like a burner or something. But yeah, not feeling anything was. And then the doctor ran on, and everyone ran on, and I was like, oh doc, yeah, I kind of feel like I've done something to my neck, like pretty bad. They call my Mrs. Carissa. I think it's a pretty bad injury. Come in. Her and I said to her, pinch my leg as hard as you can. I couldn't feel it.
And are you working?
Yeah, it took me a while, but I do a little bit of Uber. There are people like going to the airport, so they'll have their bags, and then they'll be like, oh, hey,
can you get out of your seat?
Do you need a hand with your bags? And like these people are looking at them, and they're like, yeah. They look abled. And I'm like, they're like, yeah, can you just grab my bags for me? And I was like, no worries. I ended up having a bit of a blue with a few of the bouncers at King's Cross.
Right, you took them on?
No, it was more like they were trying to stop me, but I keep like fending them or pushing them away, and it was
you weren't picking them up and tossing them across the road.
Yeah, the guy said it was like Donkey Kong, like just like throwing guys. So
do you feel your story's been able to help other people?
I hope so. Even if it just helps one person, then it's I feel like I'm doing something right in my life.
The great Mose Masoe. Welcome to Chiming In.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's great to see you, mate. You looking well?
Yeah.
You look happy?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
We're
going to have a lot of fun with this podcast because we're going to have a few laughs and we might even shed a few tears as we review your journey. But you're a remarkable person, the way that you've come through from all the difficulties that you faced in life, and you bring great joy and exuberance to everyone wherever you go. So it's great to have you, mate.
It's good. It's good to be here. I've got a lot of funny stories. They're all funny, really.
Well, hopefully not embarrassing for me. Mate, let's go back to January 12, 2020, when you suffered your neck injury, catastrophic neck injury. What are your memories of that game, that trial match against Wakefield Trinity, whilst you're playing for Hull KR?
Yeah, it was it was our very first trial for the season, and myself and my mate Weller were named captains of the team. So I was like, I was pretty stoked. And it was literally in the first 5 minutes of the game, and I just went into like a random tackle, and I thought I knocked myself out, really. So then I was just lying there on the ground, and I thought, oh, what an idiot, like 5 minutes in, concussion. So I was like, I'll just close my eyes for a bit and just lay there for a bit and just like relax for a little bit. And then I was like, I can't really feel anything. And then I was kind of lying on my side. So then I yelled out to one of the boys. I yelled out to Weller because he was there. I was like, Weller, can you like move my leg? Like, because I couldn't feel anything. And then he like kind of grabbed my leg, and because of the weight of my leg, it pulled my whole body, and then I like kind of laid flat on the ground. I don't know if he should have done that, but I was like, bro, just move my leg. Like,
so you knew then you're in big trouble.
Yeah. I thought, oh God, maybe it's just like a burner or something, but yeah, not feeling anything was. And then the doctor ran on, and everyone ran on, and I was like, oh doc, yeah, I kind of feel like I've done something to my neck, like pretty bad.
So you rushed to hospital and underwent emergency surgery that night.
Yeah.
Which pretty much was done to try and save your life.
Yeah. So pretty much, it was funny because the doc was like, man, we just got this extra piece on our board put in just for you, like this week. I was like, oh sweet. So like they had this extra bit to extend it because it was just really skinny.
Is this a spinal board?
Yeah. The board that
Yeah.
So they just actually got that put in like the week I had my injury. I was like, oh, stoked.
Yeah.
So they put me on the board, take me in. They call my Mrs. Carissa. I think it's a pretty bad injury. Come in. Her and I said to her, pinch my leg as hard as you can. I couldn't feel it. We had a little cry, like that was a moment I knew, oh God, this is pretty bad. So we had a bit of a cry, and then we were on our way to the hospital. So and then
You have the surgery, and then the doctors give you the prognosis after that. Tell us about when you woke up after the surgery, and then how you found out about what lay ahead for you.
Yeah, the surgery went well. The surgeon come in, and I thought he was one of those guys that takes the beds, because he looked like he was like 20, or 25, really young dude. I was like, hey mate, I got to have the surgery. The doctor like, yeah, I'm the guy who's giving you the surgery. And I was like, oh God. But before that, it was pretty funny. This lady walks in, she looks at the scans, and she's like, oh mate, you're going to be all right. And I was like, what? And then my doctor comes in and she was like, I don't know what she was looking at, but you need to get in there and have the surgery. Yeah. And so we went and had the surgery. We come out, I'm lying in the bed, in emergency, and then they put a cup of water here, and then they put the buzzer there, and I can't move. Like how am I going to drink this cup of water or push the buzzer or ask for the nurse? Like, I'm just in the back corner here, like, what am I going to do? So I was just like literally counting like all the dots on the roof, like, because I was just, I was up for about an hour before anyone came in, and I just,
So what goes through your head, mate, when they tell you the prognosis?
Yeah, so pre the surgery, the guy goes, oh, well, it's not looking great. You might not ever walk again. But, you got a chance. I'm going to go into the surgery, release the pressure, and hopefully, the blood flow would flow back through your spinal cord. And, so I was just like, oh, well, there's a chance. So, when I come out, I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going to move straight away. But, pretty much from the neck down, I just couldn't move. So,
and how crucial was that operation and the fact that it needed to be done straight away?
Yeah, for the way I can explain it to people is like all the signals have to go, they go through your spinal cord, and it's just got clogged up at the level C4, C5. So like, say you're hosing the grass, and you can't be bothered turning it off at the at the place, you just kink the hose, and it stops all the water from going through. Right. That's exactly what happened to myself. So they needed to go in to unkink it, and then hopefully the signals can go back through it, but the kink stays there forever. So you never know what. So when you have like a nerve damage or something, it stays there for a long time.
Right. So they weren't in a position to say, we'll get you in a couple of weeks. It had to be done straight away.
It had to be done then and there. That's why the doctor came in, and he was the one who pushed me in and got it done.
Right. Yeah. And you had plenty on your plate because you just learnt that week that Carissa and you were about to have she was pregnant. You're about to have a baby. Yeah,
there was a lot of like omens that week. Yeah, Carissa found out she was having a baby. But pre that, she had a miscarriage, and then probably about a month before that as well, she had an ectopic, or 2 months, before that, she had an ectopic pregnancy where it got stuck in the fallopian tube, so she had to go in for surgery herself and get it cut out. So, it was a bit weird because it was the doctors knew which side of the came from the other fallopian tube, flicked around and got the egg from the other side where it had no fallopian tube. So he's a bit of a miracle. Wow. But pretty stoked that we have him.
So mate, you begin your rehab almost immediately, I assume, like as soon as you can have a crack at it, you're into it.
Yeah. So I was in emergency for like 2 days, and then it's funny. They chucked me in an ambulance, and then on the way from this hospital, we go to a specialist hospital, which is probably about 45 minute drive in an ambulance. And the Amber lady, like, this bed is like so skinny, and my arm keeps falling down. And she's like, "Oh, can you please pick your arm up?" I was like, "I can't move." Like, And I couldn't stop laughing, so they had to like strap my whole body into this thing. And yeah, she just looked at me like, oh God, where am I taking you? And she looked at her thing. She's like, oh, I'm really sorry.
So your sense of humour and good outlook on life helped you immensely through those early darker days. You even used to encourage the other spinal injury patients to get involved and lift their spirits and have a go each day, didn't you? What was that about?
Yeah, well, going on, like, I was pretty fortunate, mate. Like, every day I'd have, my teammates there. I'd wake up and my teammates would be there. I'd be like, mate, get lost, go like visit. And then like would have like all these, and we had a couple of like rugby league fans in there. So like, I was like, it was getting a bit like annoying. I was like, mate, I can't do anything, but they'll be bringing food but they'll be feeding me and stuff. And then, I was just really lucky. I had someone there every day. And Sue Thompson, the player welfare, she was like, she had it regimented, like everyone had to come in and bring, like, be there at certain times. But the funny thing was, like someone like Sonny Bill came, and there was like all the nurses were loving Sonny Bill, and I was like, hey Sonny, can you just go out there and like say hello to these guys? they were so stoked, and just like some greats of the game were there just to visit, and it was great for all the other people in the ward. But then COVID hit, and then COVID, no one could come in, so it was kind of like a blessing in disguise for ourselves because we had to really focus on our rehab.
Yeah. What sort of rehab do you do?
So
what would be a big day for you in rehab?
Oh man, so probably I'll say between day 7 and day 10, I finally got my wrist. It's just started moving. Yeah, so my wrist. So I'll just be like laying there and just like pumping out like my wrist and like seeing if anything else can come back. And then like my thumb came back. I was like, oh, how good's this? Like, so at that time I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be in a wheelchair. Might have to use a electric wheelchair the whole time. So I was just like coming to terms with that. But I was like, oh, well, I'm still alive. Like, that'll be all right. I can just zip around one of those. It'll be sweet. But as soon as my hands started working, I was like, sweet. Like, I was thinking wheelchair. Yes, I can like self-propel wheelchair and, had like massive arms afterwards, like I'll be sweet. Yeah. I was like, yeah, this is cool. Cause I'm one of those people, I don't like things done for me. So I was like, oh, I can push myself around.
Yeah. So how long did the rehab process take? How long were you in that hospital for?
About just over 4 months.
Right.
Yeah. So 4 months in there. The wrist came back, and then, then my arms started coming back, and then it wasn't until like week 4 that then my I could start moving like my big toe.
Right.
Yeah, but
were doctors surprised by that?
They were surprised about the because that's the furthest signal to go all the way down is your big toe.
Right.
So once they're like, oh yeah, you might, you might have a chance here.
Were those little movements like massive days of celebration for you?
Oh man, yeah, it was like winning a grand final. Yeah, it was unbelievable. Yeah.
So you get home, you've had to make some adjustments to home because there were stairs and things. What was your plan when you got home? You obviously were never going to play again.
Yep.
What was your immediate plan? How long did you stay in England? Did you want to come back to Australia? What were you going to do?
Yeah, when I got home, it was still COVID. So I was like, well, if we go back to Australia or New Zealand, we're just going to be stuck in COVID. So the plan was just to do the rehab, and like we originally were just going to do 6 months of rehab. But then because of COVID, all the rehab facilities were still kind of closed. Yeah, so I just came up with like, they put a stair. We lived in like a 3-story house or 2-story, ground level, first level, and then we were on the top level. It was like idiots. Like,
so you had to move to the the ground level?
No, we were still at the top.
Oh, right. So you did stairs or what?
Yeah, so we put the stair lift in to
Right.
the first level. Then I have a walking frame, because at that time I could walk on a walking frame, but I couldn't walk far. So I'd walk across, and it would be like 10 meters to the next stairs. And then me trying to save money, I was like, no, I'm not going to get another stair lift. I was like, rehab, because I can't do rehab. I was like, well, there was a chair there, so I'd sit down on the chair, then I kind of fall onto the stairs, and then I'll just use the stairs to like go up on my bottom, like all the way to the top, and then I'd flick over onto my front, and then I'll kind of like commando crawl to bed, and then I'll prop myself up in bed, and then I'd like get into bed.
Exhausting, I'm sure.
Yeah, and by the time I was there, I'd be like,
Yeah.
ready for bed. Yeah.
So, mate, you begin to walk a little bit with the frame and the walking sticks, and eventually you go outside and take a walk. What was the community reaction when they saw you out on the streets?
It was awesome. It was pretty emotional as well, because a lot of the town was so supportive. Like the whole of Hull's like, you got two teams and they hate each other, but it felt like there was love from both teams. You know, the both teams had done like a lot of fundraisers and all these things for myself, and I was just like, it was pretty overwhelming. We were going to lunch one day, and we had to cross this main road, and it was over to like Ask Italian, this little joint, but we had to cross like a main road, and it, like, honestly, the road, you go like 90 miles on this, or 70 miles, sorry, on this road, and I was like, had to stop the lights, and then all the cars stopped, and then I was like, and I was walking like pretty slow at this time. I was like, it was like robotic, like trying to get across this road, and then this guy just started beeping his horn, and it's like, Mose, hey, well done, and then all these other people were like beeping their horns. Like I was a bit like surprised, but at the same time I was really emotional, because like all these are the people that were like supporting me through my journey.
And mate, you received massive support beyond that from family of league and the English rugby league public, who rallied behind you with a fundraiser to try and help raise some much needed funds.
Yeah, the family of league, they were straight on it. They said, oh, well, we're going to do this Try July for yourself. And I was like, oh no, man. I was I didn't know how to take it, because I've never really had taken help from people. I'm normally the people helping, trying to help someone else. So at the time I was like, oh no, like I'm not really, like, surely the insurance would cover it, like it's all good, don't worry guys, like. And then they're like, no, you will definitely need it, so we're going to do this for you. And I was like, just really grateful. So yeah, family league jumped in and did the Try July and other things, auction stuff over here for myself, like jerseys from ex-players and things like that. All the boys jumped on here as well to promote it. Everyone in the north of England as well.
St Helens, Hull KR.
Yeah, St Helens.
People from every club.
Yeah, every club. Yeah. They even had a round for myself over there where I had to do some commentating and stuff, which was cool. But because it was still COVID, no fans were at the game. So it was,
So you make it back to Australia and you're thinking, well, where am I going to live? What am I going to do for work? What were those next steps like? Yeah,
we got back. We come back end of 2021. Straight into quarantine. So we did the 14 days in quarantine, and then we're like, I wanted to live closer to my son, because he was in North Lakes in Brisbane, but then also wanted to live close to the water. So we were like, let's move to Caloundra, because it's it's close. It was a bit cheaper to buy a house as well. So we're like, less financial stress. So let's go up there. Yeah.
How'd you go finding a rental to start with?
Mate, you had to call me in a favor. It was pretty. We were staying at Airbnb for like, it was meant to be like 2 weeks, And then I called you. I was like, mate, I can't find a rental because like half of Victoria were moving up there, and then Sydney as well. So all these people were moving to the sunny coast, and we're like the back of the list because we're like came from England. Yeah. We have no like rental credentials or anything. And then you rang Ashley
Robinson.
Yeah, Ashley Robinson.
Yeah. Bit of a legend from the sunny coast.
I said, you're like, mate, can you help out? And he gave me a call straight away. And Ashley, he's like, mate, how you going? And I was like, oh, I'm just looking for a rental, man, because we're building a house, but we need a rent for like a year. He's like, leave it with me. And then like 5 minutes later, he just sends me like 2 links to Carissa, like, oh, it's out of these 2. And then we're like, oh yeah, we'll take that one.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So you've built your house now out of the funds that were raised for you from the public, which is fantastic. Where are you living?
Yeah, we're in Caloundra in a place, it's called Aura. It's like a new development that Stockland have. It's a massive development up there, but it's just as you're getting into the sunny coast, and it's really good because all new families, all new young families up there. So,
and are you working?
Yeah, it took me a while, but yeah, I do a little bit of Uber. Yeah, so man, I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
man.
Did you have to get a special license to drive, or because of your disabilities, or?
Oh, I had to do like redo a test.
Right.
So yeah, because I couldn't really like feel my legs and stuff as good as I should, but I kind of like, that saying, fake it till you make it. But I did the test. Yeah. I did the test with
and passed,
with this lady. But she was like, "You really got a license. This test is just for me to assess you driving." Yeah. And then I was just like cruising around in the test, and like lucky I didn't like stuff up or anything, or else I would have failed the test. Yeah. And she was like, "Yeah, you're sweet."
So what's Uber driving like for you? You ever had an accident?
No.
Right. Anything ever hit you?
Oh, I hit a kangaroo.
Really?
Yeah, I hit a kangaroo, man. Yeah. Oh, I was doing like a night shift, so it was like early hours in the morning. They just built this new road near us. So the kangaroo's probably woken up and gone, mate, I'm just going to go over to my mate's house over there. Didn't know there was a road there. And then it literally, I was going 100 and it hit this kangaroo, man. Right. So if there's anyone up in the sunny coast that wants to fix my car,
Let you know. Hey, mate, can you earn a bob driving Ubers?
Yeah, it's, you know what, it's not, for me, it's not really about the money. It's like the social aspect, really. So when someone jumps in my car, I'm just like, hey, bro, what are you up to?
Yeah. Do anyone recognize you or know who you are?
Oh, probably 1 out of like 100 people. Oh. Yeah, but they're the footy fanatics, They'll like look at the name. They're like, oh, well, there's only one Mose that I remember. Like, yeah. But most of the time, it's funny because like they'll come. The weirdest thing about doing Uber is I would drive and then there are people like going to the airport, So they'll have their bags and then they'll be like, oh, hey,
can you get out of here?
Do you need a hand with your bags? And like these people are looking at them and they're like, they look abled. And I'm like, they're like, yeah, can you just grab my bags for me? And I was like, no worries. So I was just like standing. I was like, just give me a second.
So you get your sticks out?
So I get my Crocs on. Yeah. Wobble out of the car, pop the boot, and then they see the sticks and they're like, oh God, I'm really sorry. And I was like, oh, no, don't even worry about it. Don't worry about it. It's kind of good me getting out of the car anyway because sitting for too long's not good for me. But then they start asking me, well, what happened to you? And then sometimes I just make up stories. Yeah. Honestly, it's pretty funny. But I tell them the truth at the end. I'm like, oh man, I got shot, shot right in the back. Now I've got a spinal cord injury. Well, I got stabbed,
Dear.
Yeah.
Mate, how far can you walk on this? People see you shuffling around, but how far can you go?
So I could probably walk a good kilometre, good kilometre, but then it's just like anything. It's like it just takes it out of me. Like doing a kilometre is like doing 40 minutes of footy, Yeah. But yeah, so I just try to rest all the time or sit and do a little bit of walking and then sit. So.
Are things still improving for you?
I think it's got to a point where it's improved as much as it could. But I think if I try to push it to another level, like try to get off my walking sticks, I'm sacrificing time with my family instead of it's good enough now that I can spend time with the family. But if I try to get to another level, it's just exhausting myself, and then getting home I'm just knackered and I'm going to bed. I'm not adding any value.
Was there a light bulb moment for you where you said, I'm gonna walk again, I've got to make this happen?
Yeah, I think it's when my big toe started moving, and I was just like, I had these glasses. It was weird because I had to lay flat for like 6 weeks or 8 weeks, in hospital, and I couldn't see like my feet, so I had these like really like weird glasses where they'll like look like that, but they'd have reflectors and then it'd be showing me my feet. So like someone would be coming into my room and I'm like, look at this idiot, like just lying there with these, but I'll be like trying to send the signals down there like for like the whole time, like to move. Yeah.
The body's a bit like that. You compare it sometimes to a mobile phone.
Yeah, that's it. I say to people, like, if a normal person or a person, an able person, no one's normal anymore, an able person is like the latest iPhone. I'm the Nokia 3220, like that's it. Everything up here from the shoulders up is the latest iPhone, or maybe, but everything down below is the 3220. So the signals are not getting there.
How do you manage life with 4 children and a beautiful partner, Carissa? Where would you be without Carissa's support?
Oh, I don't know. I would probably still be in that bed. I think she's an amazing woman. Pretty grateful to have her. And my kids, my kids have had to grow up real quick. So like for now, like that's how I got into Uber driving, because I'll be able to stay at home, take my kids to school. Then after school, I'll like take them to their sports and things like that. And then one of my kids is like, oh, why don't you just do some Uber driving, Dad? I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, so at the time I was dropping the kids off and then doing a bit of driving, and then I'll pick them up. So it was just great, because I was like, I never thought I would be able to pick my kids up again, or take them to things or their sport. So really grateful for where I am today because of my family.
Let's talk a bit about your footy, mate. So you grew up in Wellington, New Zealand. Yep. And your first contract was with the mighty Sydney Roosters.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Oh, that was it was pretty funny, because it was just before I signed with you. I actually came on tour with the under-16s New Zealand team, and everyone in that team had a manager or had a contract, and there was only 2 of us in that team that didn't have a manager. So when we were over here in Sydney, I actually signed with a manager.
Right.
But I got back home, and my coach, he was like, who did you sign with? And he was like, no, you shouldn't have signed with that guy. And I was like, why? And he was like, he promised me these things. And I was like, oh. He's like, no, I'll get you a better manager. And because my parents weren't there and I was under 16, I was only 16.
Not binding, yeah.
Yeah, it's not binding.
Right.
So then you come in.
Oh, gee. Wow.
Yeah, so, Paul Bergman.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like, I know a guy.
So the Roosters showed some interest.
Yep.
You meet with them.
Yeah. So, you flew over.
Me?
So you flew over to sign us.
Right.
So you signed myself and Ben Martellino.
Yeah.
On the same weekend.
Mannery.
Yeah.
One day. Yeah.
Yeah. And we were so you're like, oh well, there's a guy here from Sydney Roosters, like come out to dinner with myself and him, and it'll be sweet. Like, and I was like, oh cool. So I'd never been out to dinner. I didn't grow up in that type of environment. Dinner for me was fish and chips, man. I was like stoked with that, or KFC.
So who was the guy who you met in the Roosters?
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing. This Yeah, like it was at the time. It's funny now, but it was Big Artie Beetson. So Big Artie was there. I didn't know who he was because I grew up in New Zealand, so I was more rugby union. I grew up in Wellington, New Zealand. So Auckland, probably people in Auckland would have known who this guy is. So I come in. You're on your trackies and your polo shirt. I was like, mate, that's my manager.
Yeah.
That's the guy.
Cold over there.
Yeah, that's the guy.
Yeah.
But that's why I was like, man.
What'd you have to eat? You remember?
Oh, man, I had a steak. And it's probably even the first ever steak I've ever had. Like, that was like, yeah.
Luxury. Yeah.
Yeah. And I just remember.
Did you double dip? Did you have?
Big Artie was like, what do you want, mate? And I was like, I only picked it because it was the most expensive thing on the menu. I was like, I have a steak. And he was like, get two. And I was like, this is heaven.
Yeah.
Like, that's the most expensive thing I've ever seen. So I was like, all right, cool. And then he was like, and you're getting dessert. He was like, yeah, I ran mud cake. Oh, yeah, get two. And he would get two as well. And I was like, oh, how cool is this?
I was going to say, he might have been testing you, but if the chooks were paying him.
Yeah.
Go for it.
He was a great man. And I just remember I went to school the next morning and my teacher was like, oh, how did your dinner go? Oh, who? And I was like, oh, there was a guy, I think his name was like Artie Beetson. He was like, he like looked at me like, you're an idiot. Like, I was like, what? And he was like, go to the library. This is before iPhones. Go to the library and go Google, who this guy is or get up his Wikipedia. Yeah. So go to the library. And I'm like, holy heck. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy, got to go to dinner with this legend, this absolute.
And you ended up real good mates, didn't you?
Yeah. He'll check in all the time, Big Artie, because when I eventually signed with the Roosters, Artie left and started telling the story with one of his mates, and they put in Peter O'Sullivan as their recruitment. And so I feel like, because we were kind of like his last recruiting people to the Roosters. He was always just trying to push me like, hey mate.
He'd have been proud when you made your debut, I suppose.
Yeah, when I made my debut, it was awesome. Probably about 30 minutes before I ran on against the Titans up at the Gold Coast, he gave me a phone call and he was like, oh mate, congratulations, I knew you could make it, like, I'm really proud of you. And I was like, I'll always remember that phone call.
Good stuff. Now, things came to an abrupt end for you at the Roosters at the end of 2012. You were tapped on the shoulder and asked to move on because they were chasing someone else. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, yeah. I think at end of 2012, I was kind of in and out of first grade. It was more playing like reserve grade. And then they needed to free up some cap space at the Roosters. So, and it was for Big Sonny.
Sonny Bill Williams.
Yeah, Big Sonny.
You gave up your career for Sonny Bill Williams.
No. It's just the way the business, it works, And like the Roosters, they really looked after me. They let me go. They paid out, partial, like parts of the contract as well. So I was like set up in that way. But they let go of a few guys to free up cap space.
Right.
But yeah, I always crack up because I was like, oh, it's because of Sonny Bill. But you know what? They made the right choice because that following season they won the comp. They won the comp, man.
So you end up at Penrith.
Yep.
Right. In 2013 and beyond. You signed a couple of years there at Penrith.
Yeah.
But there was an incident in pre-season which just about nearly wiped you out. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I literally signed at Penrith. I was there December. So I was there only for like 3 weeks. 3 weeks, and then we went away for our Christmas holidays. And I went out on a night out at King's Cross, and I kind of was still, I didn't know how to like deal with my problems. So I'd be out with the boys. I was still kind of devo that I left the Roosters because that's all I ever knew, like 5 years at the Roosters. And got in an altercation there. And because Gus was at Penrith, he was the one that signed me at Penrith. I ended up having a bit of a blue with a few of the bouncers at King's Cross.
Right, you took them on?
No, it was more like they were trying to stop me, but I keep like fending them or pushing them away, and it was
You weren't picking them up and tossing them across the road.
yeah,
were you?
the guy said it was like Donkey Kong, like, you know, like just like throwing guys. Oh, it was funny. But the guy at the kebab shop across the road rode into the club, which kind of saved my career.
Yeah.
But Gus was filthy because, as he should be, he just signed me to come to Penrith on a 2-year deal, and he was like, mate,
He read you the right act, eh?
yeah, he was like, you'll never play first grade for this club. And I was like, oh, so good.
So he couldn't sack you because you weren't charged with anything.
Yeah, I wasn't charged with anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were detained. You were locked up.
Yeah, I was detained in the cells, and then Carissa came and picked me up at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Yeah.
Where was I? In bed?
Probably detained as well.
I can't believe I wasn't with you that night.
Yeah.
Hey, so Gus basically said you're not going to play for Penrith.
Yeah.
And
You're not going to play for...
Look somewhere else.
Yeah, might as well look for somewhere else. And then Penrith, they won their first game, and then they lost like 6 in a row. And then I was at Windsor. I was enjoying playing footy out in Windsor with a few of the boys. There was a lot of like young kids out there. You know, Blake Austin. Who else was out there? Oh, a lot of Eisenhoof. He was a winger back then. But yeah. So then we had a pretty cool team out there, and then they lost 6 in a row, and then the derby was up, so they were going to play Parramatta, and they had a few injuries, and then
You got to run.
Yeah, I got to run, and they were like, oh well, and then we won, so then I ended up playing the whole season,
Right.
and then Gus, but you already got me a contract with
So they
St.
basically
Helens.
said there's no future for you there. So you ended up going to
St. Helens.
St. Helens.
Yeah.
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 Which was a great move for you because you won a premiership there.
Yeah. No, I was pretty stoked with that because
Yeah.
went to St. Helen, and
You're playing with Sia Soliola,
played with Sia.
Shannon McDonald.
Yeah, Mac came the next year.
That's right.
Yeah. But that first year,
Great club. Good
Great club.
memories.
great memories. Yeah.
And won some silverware.
Yeah. Brownie was a bit on my back when I got there because I just played the World Cup with Samoa, and then I was like, oh, I had a twisted ankle in the last game, and I was like, oh, it's a bit sore. He rang me because I was still in Australia. He goes, mate, can you go get a scan on your ankle? I was like, all right, sweet. So I was like hobbling around, go get a scan on my ankle, and I've torn my syndesmosis.
Wow.
So it's like, yeah. So literally so Brownie was a bit like filthy. He was like, mate, we just signed you at the club.
Yeah.
Like, and
You're making some enemies, aren't you?
yeah. And so I literally flew in to, the second day I was there, I had to go to get surgery on my ankle.
Wow.
To put like a rope in there and tie it back up.
Yeah.
And then I was in rehab for like 2 months.
Yeah.
And try to like speed it up to get back on the field.
And mate, eventually you end up in Australia again, back in the NRL. You signed with the Dragons.
Yeah. Well, doing the World Cup, then having a good season with St. Helens, St. Helens had a good season winning, and then got picked for the Four Nations to play back here for Samoa. So played the Four Nations, and then got interest from St. George, and then St. George came to the table and was like, oh,
you signed a 2-year deal with them, but you never played
a game.
You never wore the jersey ever.
Yeah.
What happened?
So I came back. I always come back, and I always put on a little bit of weight, an extra 10 kilos. So I'm like, all right, I'm always in Fat Club. I'm the leader. Might as well write it on my forehead, Fat Club forever. And I was like, always there. So, but Paul, like McGregor, he was just like, mate, Mary was just like, sweet, no worry about that. Just get stuck in your work and, do what we need you to do. So I was like, oh yeah, sweet as. So did all the whole preseason, and he was stoked. Mary was like, oh yeah, sweet. Like, I'm going to reward you to go play the Nines. I was like, oh cool. How cool is this? I'm going to go play with the Nines with the boys. With a last training session, and I thought I'd try to do a step, and I never stepped in my life. and I stepped in it, and my ACL snapped, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I was gutted.
So you missed the season.
Yep.
And then the second year, the Dragons basically said, if you can find another club, we won't stand in your way.
Yeah. So they made some signings because they needed front rowers, and that's just the way the business works. So I was like, okay, no worries. And you give me a call, you go, oh, there's a guy that wants to call you. Prepare for a phone call, and I was like, oh, okay. And at that time, my knee surgery just didn't go to plan, and it's still kind of bad to this day, but I still can't straighten my leg. So I was like a bit down in the dumps there, and then I get a phone call, and they're like, hey mate, and it's Tim Sheens. He's like, oh mate, can you do you want to come and sign a 8-week deal? Yeah, it is an 8-week deal with Hull KR. We're trying to get up into Super League. So they used to do this
Div 1.
Yeah. They're trying to get back up. So I was like, oh, that's a bit exciting. So I was like, yeah, why not? Like, what have I got to lose? But then I didn't figure it out. Like, literally, it's an 8-week contract.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So if we didn't go to Super League,
that was the end of it.
That was the end. Yeah.
I guess it was also a chance to showcase yourself to the other English clubs. But the good news is they won.
Yeah. So we did it we actually done it in 6,
right.
And because I went by myself, it was funny. This one, I said to it's like Sheensy, if we do no, we did it in 5 actually. So we won our first 5 games,
right?
And I said to Sheensy, mate, if we win this game, I'm going back home, like because my family was still here. And so like literally won, and I looked at Sheensy, I was like, can I book the flight? And he looked at the owner, he was like, ask that guy. And I was like, Neil, who's the owner.
Neil Hudgell, yeah.
Yeah, Neil Hudgell. I was like, mate, can I go back home? And he was like, yeah. So we were singing the song, celebrating, and I booked my flight to go back. And then they just figured out half of our team was injured and they needed me to play, but I was already on my way back home. Yeah.
So they signed you to a contract after that, didn't they?
Yeah. So I signed a 2-year deal at KR, and and then we extended again for another 2 years.
Yeah. Which took you up to when you had your injury. What are your memories of KR? Great club.
Oh, great club. Great
They're
people.
Doing well now too.
Yeah, great people. I always could see it. I just think the people involved in the club always want the best interests for the club.
Yeah.
So,
fiercely loyal to you when you had your accident.
Yeah, loyal as. It's weird over in England. Like over here, you can live in Sydney and support the Brisbane Broncos. Not over there. Yeah. If you live in like the whole KR area, you're KR till you die.
Can you see yourself getting back over to England at some stage to visit all your friends there?
Yeah. We're kind of planning the trip within the next maybe year or 2. Yeah, just to take the kids back as well. I'll take Louis back to where he's born. Be nice. Yeah, go see all the guys over at KR and all the people at St. Helens. Will be
now, you're also interested in welfare because you mentioned before, you've had a few ups and downs yourself in life, on and off the field.
Yeah.
You're doing a little bit of welfare work now?
Yeah. So with the Uber driving, the best thing about it, it's pretty I turn it on and turn it off when I want. So Dave Shillington runs a program called Prime Effect, which help people back into work. So a lot of his stuff is to do with like Centrelink and all that kind of people trying to get back into work. So so he runs a really cool program, and then it's a lot of it correlates with what NRL players or ex-NRL players got up to like during their time playing. So it all kind of helps the story behind his work, which is cool. And he asked me working, and I was kind of like, nah mate, like I'm not working, so how can I tell someone else to go back back to work? But then once I started driving Uber, he asked me again, and I was like, yeah. So
do you feel your story's been able to help other people?
I hope so. Even if it just helps one person, then it's I feel like I'm doing something right in my life.
Do you ever sit back and think, why me? Why did it happen to me? Why was I so unlucky? Or how do you keep motivated?
Oh, I grew up with a cousin. He's got cerebral palsy, so I could never like sit there and like feel sorry for myself. Like I've got to like live my life, not normalish for like 30 years. Got to go play footy, have a family, go traveling, explore the world, have all these great times, and then my cousin's never. He'll never be able to have a family. Things like that. You just put stuff into perspective, and I think that's a big thing with mental health these days. I think a lot of people are going through a lot of stuff, and it's for me that's what helps me, because like we were here today, be able to tell my story, so that he helps me keep grounded in a way.
We're lucky today because you've flown down from the sunny coast to Sydney to our studio here.
Yeah.
Massive effort and sacrifice, which I'm very grateful for. What time do you get up to get organised, and how long does it take you to get going in the mornings?
So I try to get up really early, so 5:30 or 5 o'clock, get up, try to get everything ready to try to get here. But, I drove the car to the airport. I parked it, got in the airport. They helped me in the wheelchair, took me out, got on the flight. And that was like the first time I kind of traveled by myself.
Big day for you.
Yeah, big day.
Yeah.
And then when I got off the flight, you were there, and you pushed the wheelchair straight into a taxi straight here. So it's got to be the reverse when we go back like in another hour. So.
Yeah. Do you feel like when you're out and about, a lot of people identify with you and talk, want to talk to you about?
Yeah. It's pretty funny sometimes. They're like, "Oh, what's happened to your leg?" And I'm like, "Oh." Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, I just rolled my ankle." But then,
So you make light of the seriousness of your injury to take the attention away from you, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll just like, "Oh yeah, I just twisted my ankle. It should be all right next week." So and sometimes some people can notice because they've had other family members in that situation. So like some lady at the airport today was like, "Oh, do you have Parkinson's?" But I kind of move like a person that has Parkinson's because it's kind of robotic a bit. Yeah. But she's like, "Oh, my husband just got diagnosed like a few months ago," and I just thought I'd ask because she was helping me with my crutches and stuff after the security bit. I was like, "Oh no, I had a spinal cord injury, and it's very similar for the mobility wise." Yeah.
You mentioned your knee injury before. Does it sometimes? Do you look upon it as more of a serious injury than what happened to you?
Yeah. So I was saying to you in the car,
because that probably doesn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people.
Yeah. So my knee injury is probably my worst ever injury. Not in the fact that the actual injury, it was more like the mental strain. So I put all of my eggs in the basket, come back St. George, knee injury, bad heads place. I was at St. George. I just was, every time I'd go in, the knee would, it would be like, "Oh, you can't straighten it, So that went out for like, instead of being a 9 month or 6 to 9, it was 12 months before I even started running. Yeah. And then, so I was just in a bad place mentally. Yeah. I was drinking too much, having a punt, just doing things that I just wasn't a nice person. So I was just like, when this injury happened to myself with this spinal, if I was going to be that guy, that was going to be that result. If I took it with that kind of mentality, kind of feel sorry for myself and all that kind of stuff, that was going to be the result. Just that.
You didn't want to be that person.
I didn't want to be that person.
Yeah. How'd you pull out of that spiral originally when you didn't like who you were?
I got a little bit of help from the club. And then probably the biggest savior was the Tim Sheens saying, "Oh, mate, do you want to come play a thing, and it was just something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you flatlined your
Yeah,
career.
flatline career. It was like on the way kind of down, and
Yeah.
I went over there. Every game was like a grand final. We had to win, and I just felt myself like loving the game again. So
Yeah.
and
What was Sheensy like as a coach?
it was all right. It was funny. 1 year he was like, "Oh, boss," because every year I come back overweight, so we we'll do like on the watt bikes and things like that. And one preseason I lost like 10 kilos, and I was like, "Sweet, Sheensy." And I said to Sheensy, I want to go to New Zealand or back to Australia. I got to visit my son. Everyone's only having 7 days off, but can I get 10 days off? And he was like, "Yeah, mate, just as long as you don't, put on 10 kilos." And he started laughing. And then I come back, I jump on the scales, and Sheensy's standing there. I jump on the scales, and I put on 10 kilos.
Really?
The 10 kilos that I lost before I went.
Not happy.
Yeah, I enjoyed my time. But then he was like, started laughing. He was like, "Mate, just put in the work." So I just had to do like extra sessions on the bike for like a week or two.
Have you always had challenges with your weight? Obviously, you're a big man.
Oh, I just think at the time, the game was starting to get quicker. And I sit at 125, 130 kilos anyway. But I got to try get lighter to keep up with the guys. So.
Now, mate, you suffered a neck injury when you were playing for the Roosters a long time ago, towards the beginning of your career.
Yep.
Was there any correlation between that injury and what happened to you?
No. So, I had a disc replacement 2012, I think. And so it kind of like, they feel like when I spoke to the surgeon, like, "Oh, what happened to that part?" It kind of stayed together. So fingers crossed, I think it really helped.
So you're saying by having that surgery, it might have
things could have been worse. I don't know, but it stayed intact, which was good, because sometimes it can just go mash up, and then when your cord's cut, it's pretty much game over.
So what do you do to keep fit now? Do you go to a gym?
No.
But did you go to a gym when you were settled on the sunny coast?
I started at a gym, just trying to get into good habits.
Yeah.
But now my gym now is just keeping up with my kids. We'll go to a sports event, and it'll be like, looking, the park is over here, and it's like a 300-meter walk. I'll be like, "Oh,
that's enough."
Yeah, and then they'll carry my chair, they'll set me up, and I'll get there. I'll just watch them.
You got a pool at home? Do you get into the pool?
Yeah. So get in a pool a fair bit just to stretch, and I think the pool just takes the weight off the body and be able to move. That's kind of when you kind of feel a bit normal.
Yeah. You're on your sticks. Do you ever have a tumble?
All the time. Yeah.
Any big ones?
Yeah, a few big ones.
And how do you get back up?
Well, I try to get like a chair or something, and once I can get a chair, I can kind of like prop up on the chair and use the chair to push myself up. So I reckon I fall over at least once a week.
Let's go back to the Roosters. I want to talk to you about it. Fond memories there, great club.
Yep.
Probably some of the happiest times of your career, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it there.
A lot of good mates there.
Yeah, a lot of good people. A great organisation. Yeah.
So you did a couple of contracts there.
Yeah.
We talked about the first one where Arthur Beetson came over and convinced you to sign with the Chalks. What about beyond that? Did you do any ones beyond that?
Yeah, well, he always told me just to sign 1 year deals, because
I don't know. I can't remember why.
There's a method.
Maybe I was thinking you were gonna.
Yeah, there's a
shrink.
It was a method to the madness, but you always said sign 1 year deals, mate. And I was like, all right, sweet. So I signed 1 year deal. Got an injury. I was like, oh God, I'm gonna go home. And then the Roosters was like, no, he's doing really well. I'll sign him for another year. I was like, oh yeah, sweet. Got another really bad injury. Signed another year. But then this one time you said, oh mate, we've got to go meet with Peter O'Sullivan. We've got to go, we'll meet around from your house. So we were living up at Randwick near the spot there.
So he was a Roosters recruitment manager.
Yeah, the Roosters recruitment there.
Yeah.
And you rock up, you pick me up from home. Literally, we drove like 200 meters.
What was I driving back then?
The Honda. Oh man, that was the G-Wagon. The G-Wagon of Hondas.
So we go and see him.
We go see him. We sit up. We sit down for lunch. We're having lunch. Peter writes a number on like a piece of paper. He puts it across the thing. You show me the number. My eyes are like, wow, that's the biggest number I've ever seen in my life. And then you look at me. You're like, man. And then you cross it out. You write another number. I don't know if you bluffed him, though. You must have bluffed him.
I can't remember.
You write another number, and I look at the number, and I'm like, you're dreamy, mate. And you fold it up. You put it across. Sully looks at you. Sully goes. And I'm like,
happy days. We had a win.
I was like, is that how you do contracts? Like, literally, they didn't say a word. They just said,
that was the old days, mate. That was the good old days.
Yeah, and I was just like, what happened?
Yeah.
And I was like, I actually thought that last number you put in, I was like, mate, this guy, he's having a laugh. Like, that is the wrong number.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but I was there. Oh, man, that was so funny.
Hey, Anzac Day clashes. They're hugely respected and regarded and so well supported. Did you play in any Anzac Day games for the Chooks?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to play in two. I played in a standalone one, and it was like my first one, and it was at SCG. Sydney Cricket Ground.
Right.
And man, it was just so emotional. Like, I'm not an emotional person, but man, I cried like that game. You know, just the stories behind, you know, all the guys that have, you know, gone out there and fought for like Australia and New Zealand, you know, for our freedom. Like, I can take my hat off to them, man. Like, they sacrifice a lot, and, you know, a lot of guys have sacrificed their lives for our country. So us standing there playing this game, it's just like to honor them. So to play one of those is really special. Really special.
They're like a mini grand final, aren't they?
Yeah. It is. And, you know, you got the Jets coming over, and, you know, you got the chopper coming in and bringing the trophy. It's just, the occasion's massive. It's not, to be honest, it's not about the game. Like, the game is just like to support, to remember, or to help us remember about Anzac, really. Yeah. It's not about the game. Like, it's what happens before the game's pretty special.
So did you win an Anzac Day game?
No. St. George got us on that game, and then I played in that infamous one where we were ahead by 3 tries, 10 minutes to go. Yeah, and then St. George came back and pipped us in the last, 79th minute they scored.
Right.
Yeah.
You got a good memory, mate.
Yeah, well, these are all the times that those are the memories I have.
Yeah.
Like,
but you won some things. You won a second grade comp with Newtown, the Mighty Jets.
Oh man, that was my favourite time, honestly. That time, we had players like Daniel Tupou in our team.
Yeah.
And we all kind of like Morts, Daniel Mortimer. We had all these other young kids. We had Beach Ball. Beach Ball.
You call him the Beach Ball.
I call him the Beach Ball because what he does is he used to always sign Beach Ball on his when he signed like people's jerseys. So I was like, well, why do you do that? he's like, it's just a G up. So Beach Ball. Oh God.
So that was a big day for you, hey?
Yeah, that game was massive because all of us, we were the Reggies, reserve grade. Yeah. Roosters, and we were all kind of on the way out too. Yeah. So a lot of us boys, you know, Morts, he wasn't getting picked first grade. Yeah. Daniel Tupou,
team.
He was on the fringe of, I don't know, like maybe finding another club, and we all kind of just said to each other, mate, if we win this, we might get contracts somewhere else. So that was probably one of my favorite.
So success there. I think in 2010 at the Roosters, you played 12 NRL games. They made the grand final, so that was a successful year. Hull KR, you get them promoted, so that was a successful year. St Helens, you win a comp there.
Yeah.
So you've enjoyed some really good highs in the game.
Yeah, I've been pretty fortunate, man. When I look back at my life, like I've been able to play with some awesome people, met some awesome people over the years. So yeah, it's been.
What sort of people have inspired you along your journey to become the person that you are today?
Probably my partner Carissa.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been massive. You know, she keeps me, level-headed and just focused on things that I need to. And my family, my mum and my dad, in New Zealand, we came from nothing. We had nothing, so anything was better than nothing. So they taught me just to be grateful for the little things that we had. So yeah.
How important was that fundraising that was done for you? You wouldn't have your home without it, would you?
Yeah, 100%. So a lot of that stuff was has eased the financial stress.
Mm-hmm.
So especially trying to find work, I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know what my body could do coming back here to Australia and just reintegrating back into Australia and all that kind of stuff. So, man, taking that off us, that financial stress has been a massive help. So yeah, now myself start working, Carissa's working as well, and just for me to be able to enjoy the time with my kids. Yeah, it's been.
Any more kids?
Oh, no, definitely no more kids, man.
No.
Yeah, have you met the last one? No,
I've only seen once. Yeah,
yeah,
I think I was up your way last Christmas.
Oh yeah, he's going to be a handful. That
got
kid.
a bit of bounce, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Kid. Hey, what sort of message would you send to someone who you've had some dark times and you talked openly about that sort of stuff? What sort of message can you send to someone who's been where you might have been and is struggling?
Man, it's always good to talk it out. Yeah, I know it's hard at first, and I think a lot of people are going through tough times at the moment. But yeah, if you can find someone that you're confident to talk to, and then maybe it's just taking that step. I can see where people find it hard, but yeah, just try to talk to someone or if you don't have someone, there's a lot of people that you can try ring and call and talk to, because I feel like getting that stuff off your chest is better than keeping it in. So,
mate, for someone so big and powerful and domineering, strong, does anyone ever say that you're a bit of a marshmallow, a bit of a cream puff?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%.
Well, where's it come from? Your kindness and your gentleness, you think?
I don't know. I think there's a time and a place to be. But I think as humans, we just gotta, I don't know, love each other and be nice to each other and all that stuff. There's too much going on in this world, and I've felt that myself with all this fundraising and stuff. It's all come back to me now. I think you treat the people the way you want to be treated, and then I feel like, I know it's karma. They call it karma. I used to always treat people with respect and be nice and things like that. When the injury happened, it's come back tenfold. So I feel like that's it. You just treat everyone else that you want to be, the way you want to be treated.
Cool. Where do you see yourself in 10 years' time, mate?
I don't know. Yeah, and that's the best thing. Yeah. I don't know where I'll be in 10 years' time, but probably watching footy somewhere, because now I'm a massive footy fan. Yeah. I'm a fan now. So
you'd like to work as a scout for a club too, wouldn't you? You watch a lot of footy up there.
Oh, mate. I watch more footy now than when I used to play. So I think that's what my missus wants me not to do. So, but that's what I love doing.
And the kids are in nippers up there. And there's the athletics and
they
everything.
Yeah, we put them in all the sports, because my parents. It's funny. My parents always said to me, sports will never take you anywhere. And I remember having this conversation with my dad, because I flew him over to England. And then I looked at him, I said, Dad, do you remember when you said sports will never take you anywhere? Well, you're over in England now, mate. So, no, I just said, I just put my kids in sport to keep them active, and, sports teaches everything,
Mate, it's been inspirational chatting with you today. I can't thank you enough for you making the effort to join us. I've got you down as the nicest man in the world. Thanks very much, Mossy, for joining us on Chiming In.
No, yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Good on you, mate.
Cheers.